Zach Fuchs and John Pilgrim took the main stage last night in CSC Division 2, and there was two moments that really caught my eye from a strategy perspective. Now you might be asking, Nick, what makes you qualified to do a strategy breakdown? And the answer is, I'm not. But that being said, I have worked on 7 seasons of the CSC Challenger Series and have also watched over 1,000 hours of game footage. So let's go ahead and break down their game in hopes of bettering yours. Let's get into it. So looking at where we're at in the match here, this is the last leg before the break, and Zach finds himself in a very favorable position in this leg to make it only a 1 leg difference, which in the CSC, being a race to 9, it's absolutely huge to be able to close that gap as much as you can, keep it within 1 leg, especially going into the break here. So let's go and take a look at what Zach does. He's 112 points ahead at this given moment here, and you can see John is forced to try to open a number, fails to do so. Now, what Zach should do here, in my not so professional opinion, is to go ahead and try to close those 18s. If he closes those 18s, even if he does 3 big singles, you're at the point where even if your opponent 9 marks the 16s, 9 marks the 15s, whatever they choose, it doesn't really matter that much because you have the 2 house advantage and you have a point differential where they can't even get the point lead with a 9 mark. You should probably be pretty happy with this, but what Zach does here does raise my eyebrow just a little bit. Goes and tries to lay up here, and when he does that, what he does is put himself in a situation where he doesn't close the 18. Of course, he expects to hit the triple. It doesn't go his way here, and what this enables is John, a person that knows he's probably out of this leg, to go ahead and start playing aggressive and take some big risks. John Pilgrim is an aggressive player in general, and you can see right here, he goes ahead and just tries to take the close there. Now, what this does is ask Zach the question. Zach, can you hit a 4 mark? If you hit single 18 and a trip 16 or a trip 15, you still probably win the leg here. But if for some reason the pressure of the moment gets to you, then it's a completely turned table where all of a sudden John has an opportunity to get himself back in the leg. You can look, first dart drops low. That's a nervy dart. Does get the close here. Doesn't go his way. Last one hugging the wire. Very unfortunate. Well thrown dart. Now, what John can do here is if he bets a number, he's back within 25 points, which you have to start thinking in terms of bulls and 25 points, especially at this point in the game. He goes ahead. He finds the 16. And of course, he hits a boom goes the dynamite. Now it leaves the question. Can Zach hit a 5 mark? 2 15s and a trip 16 still gives him a good advantage going into the bulls, although not as good as he would have had earlier. Taking that moment, throws that first one high, but he does do a good job of resettling himself. Plays at a very steady pace, finds the 15 here. Now this last dart, every single time, should be going to the 16s here. You're talking the difference of 33 points. A single 15 does not push the bull, which means you have to either hit a triple on the 15 or 16. Any singles here don't matter. And what he does here is stay, and it doesn't go his way here. What this does is enable John to have an opportunity for a 6 mark. He needs to trip the 16 and trip the 15 here. And of course, it's John Pilgrim. He hits the single, uses it as a good guide dart. You can see glides off that barrel over to the 15s and gets the close there. And then this leg will pretty much wrap up as Zach will get an opportunity at the bulls here. The reason I bring up this is not to be disparaging to either one of these players, because let's be honest, they're way better than I ever was or probably will be at this point. But it's one of those things where you have to know when to lay up and when to take the aggressive shot. And I think that this leg right here was a big momentum shifter, on top of the fact that John Pilgrim in this match started off so amazing. I mean, he's throwing a 5-3 going into the break. In Division 2, that is just unprecedented. It's a phenomenal level of performance. And the fact that Zach was keeping up with it and could have made it chalk going into the break, basically, with a 1 leg differential. So there you go. You see John Pilgrim grabs that leg there in a leg where you would expect he probably should have never won. Now let's go ahead and look at the last leg of the match here. Specifically, a little bit later on, we're going to go ahead and take a peek here. Yeah, you can see right here. Now let's look at the situation of what's going on with this one. Right now, John Pilgrim, 3-house advantage over to the 1 house of Zach. And Zach's back is against the wall. Right now, John Pilgrim needs one more leg to win this match in week 2 of the CSC Division Challenger Series. Oh, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore, guys. Very important leg. And what John does here is give Zach an opportunity. He has 3 clear to close. With the 3 houses, he absolutely should start the close here. Tries to use that first start, and you can see it's a bad deflection going down into the single. He decides to stay on this last start, which is very questionable because you can see it also kissed off the same barrel. Not getting the close here. What that does is enable Zach to have an opportunity. If he trips the 16 on the first start, he can close 1 or 2 of your numbers. I personally think the shot here is probably 2 trip 16s and a trip 20 or a trip 19. But you can see right here, finds the first start. And you can see Jason Derby in the back calling for him to move. He decides to stay. I don't think there's anything wrong with the stay here. You're trying to get yourself an opportunity to be able to close with the point advantage. Get yourself an opportunity at the 8 mark. So John Pilgrim, remember, he's ahead in this match. He likes to play aggressive. He is down at 52 points. Hits the close there. And I actually don't mind that move here because it's basically saying, can you hit the 8 mark? And if you hit the 8 mark, I just need to hit a 7 mark in response, right? If you close all 3 of my numbers, I will just have to 7 mark the 15 and it doesn't matter. Now, Zach can do 1, 2 things. He can go for that 8 mark and you throw your first start at the 19 or 20. If it only hits a single or misses, you just go to the 15s. Well, I actually like here, I do like Zach playing conservative in this moment. I think this is when his strategy works to his favor. See, he goes right over, finds the 15 in the corner, trying to use it to his advantage. You can see stacks it right there, and he's going to follow that dart in. Beautiful 7 mark in a very pressure moment. You can see South 94 Bistro going crazy in the background there. 112 point difference is the separation. And I think John right here makes his second error of this leg. And at this point, he was kind of going through a little bit of match point anxiety. He wasn't playing quite as tight as he was earlier. But look at this. Goes for that close in the last start, doesn't hit it. 32 point difference there is the separation. Now, this is very important. Let's take a look at the board here real quick. You can see the 20s, 19s, and 17s. That 8 mark is still available. You're up 32 points. You shot that 7 mark in the last turn to make sure you had a chance of approaching with the point lead. Every single time you need to start here with a potential close. Now, of course, if it misses, you bail out to the 15s anyways, right? I would have preferred probably started the 19s. If you hit a single, then you just move back to the 15s, call it a day, and you stay there. But what Zach does here kind of really felt like this was a critical error that kind of cost them at the very end of this match. He stays. And at this point, he doesn't regain as much point lead that he had going into the previous throw. And what this does is enable John to hit an aggressive shot, right? He likes to play aggressive. He's going to go up at these 20s, pegs the first one, goes over to the 15s here, finds it there, and then back up to the 20s, hits a beautiful 6 mark that honestly won him the match here. Because at this point, there's not much you can do if you're Zach. You can go for the 8 mark, but you're expecting John to hit 3 bulls. If you stay on and hit 4 or more bulls, you get the point lead back. And what the players do for the rest of this leg here is struggle a little bit, and then eventually John does get the win. Again, I'm only saying this just because I really feel like Zach kind of almost undervalued his own ability there by laying up when he could have taken a couple more aggressive shots, taking advantage of the situation here. Because he showed, and I truly do believe this, that he had every capability of winning that match. And if those 2 legs, if the one I showed here and the one before the break goes in his favor, it's a big what if of what his run could have been. Now, of course, John Pilgrim played amazing. He averaged incredible, and I'm not taking anything away. And in fact, I just wanted to break this down because I know for a fact most players know what to do when they're at the 20s through 17s. But when you get to the corner pockets, the math starts changing, the pressure starts changing, and you can see that's where probably most errors are made in matches, myself included, by the way. Well, that's just my subjective opinion on the matter here. And of course, we all know in the heat of the moment, sometimes the best start to throw is the one you're most comfortable with. Leave a comment below to let us know what you would do in these situations here. And also let us know if you want to see more styles of content like this one here. And who knows, maybe we'll be seeing you in the next CSC Challenger Series.